Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our next live session. I'll be your producer for our session, but before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters to answer. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Microsoft Reactor channel. With that, I'll turn it over to our speaker for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Anna. Hey, everyone. Hope you're all having a great day, a great morning, evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Anish. I'm a product manager on the Azure API Management team. I'm here to walk you guys through all the cool stuff that we are cooking up on our side to help you manage, mediate, and govern AI-based APIs. So I hope all of you can see my screen, and I'll just get started through the session. This is my plan. I'm planning to walk through the session for about 30-35 minutes. We'll do some live demos and we'll walk through some slides. And once we are done with that, we'll go through the chat and try to answer a few questions for the next 10 minutes. Hope that works. All right, so let's get started, right? So I don't know how many of you are familiar with Azure API Management. Azure API Management is a 10-year-old service. It's one of the frontier services for Microsoft Azure. We help customers design, develop, secure, publish, scale, monitor, and analyze APIs, right? For the last 10 years, it's mostly been traditional APIs, right? REST-based APIs, SOAP, GraphQL, gRPC, WebSockets, you name it. But now, in the last couple of years, with the proliferation of AI and agentic workflows, there's a lot of APIs related to AI. They are coming up, right? AI workloads. These are nothing but APIs. If you think about MCP servers are also based on JSON RPC architecture. They are nothing but APIs. Similarly, model endpoints are also being surfaced as APIs. Agents, be it A2A, MCP, or any other protocol, everything is being surfaced as APIs because everything uses a similar JSON RPC architecture. So API management is at a very strong place to support all of these new kind of workflows and agentic architectures that are coming up. And I'm here to show how API management can support you through all of these things today. So, like I said, we can help you convert your existing sprawl of traditional APIs into AI APIs, but you can also monitor, govern, and secure your AI-based APIs that you're creating here. Hope that's clear. So we are here to support you through the entire API lifecycle for all kinds of AI-based workloads. Let's see how that happens. So for those of you not familiar with API management, our platform consists of two kinds of products. One is called API Management with the same name. It's basically the mediation, gateway, and governance layer, right? Where you can actually design and apply policies, design your APIs, and govern them with the right kind of policies, security, and also have strong observability. Then we have our API Center. Think of it as a catalog or a registry for your assets. It could be APIs, it could be MCP servers, it could be A2A endpoints. You can tightly integrate them under a single catalog curated for your own customers or for your own internal teams and put it all together. And by the way, API management, it's a very tightly integrated product all through Azure ecosystem as well as through the Azure AI Foundry ecosystems. So this makes it very easy for you to spin up your own resource wherever you are and add an AI gateway or API management in front of that to govern and mediate your workflows. So let's talk about what is AI Gateway, right? So AI Gateway is our branding of everything, all kinds of AI capabilities that are surfaced in API management. So we call it as AI gateway. It is the bridge to mediate all kinds of AI usage. So think of it like this. You have your AI apps and agents. You're building some apps and agents and some workflows. It could be customer service, conversational agents, research assistants, whatever you're building. And all of them need access to tools, data, or maybe even talk to other agents to get the job done. So you have AI models, data, vector stores, tools and functions, or it could be other agents. But if you don't have the governance, unmanaged endpoints could result in a lot of security issues. It could result in a lot of uncontained budget overflow issues. A lot of our customers tell us, hey, these AI workflows are great, but they are expensive today. So I want to maintain and monitor my token usage. How do I do that? AI gateway is your answer. I want to secure. I don't want my agent to leak any secrets from my thing. There are a lot of techniques today in the market, like jailbreaking your agents, or you can easily fool agents to provide you some information or extract information. How can you secure that? You can do that with AI gateway and our specific policies around content safety. You obviously get the best in class resiliency and scalability with API management, a battle tested service for about 10 years, and also with the strong backing of Azure. Observability, we have strong links to Azure Monitor and and also open telemetry support, which is to be coming soon. That is also going to be supported as part of this. And governance, like I said, right? This is the core of what AI Gateway stands for. Having that policy engine to apply all kinds of policies. It could be to mediate traffic, it could be to secure things, it could be to do transformations, or it could be to figure out how to enable discovery and consumption. All of this is supported by AI Gateway. And let's see how that works in real life. So AI Gateway within Azure Management has a whole bunch of capabilities. Like I said, right, in 2024, around May, we started our journey as AI Gateway. And for AI Gateway, the step one was to enable mediation to models. So we have launched a lot of features around that, including support for Azure AI Foundry, OpenAI. We can support all kinds of OpenAI compatible models. We can support Responses API. We can support WebSockets for real-time APIs. All of these are available. In addition to that, we have added a lot of security layers out of the box for you. The moment you want to talk to a model, you can invoke all of these security capabilities like key managed identities. You can use keys, you can use OAuth, you can use content safety, credential manager, and a whole bunch of many other capabilities not even listed here. And similarly, you can have observability, right? Like I said, budget is a big concern from customers after security. So you clearly get a sense of how many tokens are being consumed. What are the prompts that are going in? What are the completions? And what are the responses? Everything is getting logged. And you have a built-in reporting dashboard so that you understand how each of these things work. And then getting into governance, I said policy engine with expressions, and also having this registry to have your MCP servers or APIs enables you to have a holistic, robust experience all the way from creating your APIs, securing them, governing them, observing them, and deploying them for consumption. Throughout the life cycle, we are there with you to ensure strong governance within your organization. So I wanted to, before I jump into, so there are three parts, right? We have tools, we have models, and we have agents. This session is primarily focused on tools and agents that we are going to, some of the features that are coming up. In terms of models, basically, this is a well-known use case, so I'm not going to spend much time here. Models are basically, you can use AI Gateway to front any model that your agent is talking to and apply all kinds of policies here. So it's as simple as that, right? So you can have session-aware load balancing. You can have priority routing. You can route models based on the use case. You can route a particular call to a text-based model, another particular call based on the context to a vision-based model, or another thing to a audio-based model. So there are various things that you can do, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but happy to take questions around that later on. So let's double click into tools, right? Tools is a big challenge because a lot of enterprises have a huge amount of infra and systems built around legacy architectures, be it APIs, be it servers. So how do you bring and get all those tools, make them accessible to your AI agents and LLMs? And that is where MCP comes in. This is a protocol that got launched last year by Anthropic, and Microsoft is a part of the steering committee, and we are actively working with Anthropic and our other partners to uh, ensure that this protocol supports our customers in the best way possible. So one of the big questions, like I mentioned, is there is already a lot of development that has happened. So customers don't want to redo all of this development. How can we convert all of the existing legacy apps and APIs into MCP servers? API management can help you do that. I will quickly show you how that happens in a second, but let's walk through some of these things. Security concerns. Initially, when MCP was launched, the joke was like there is no S in MCP, right? Security. But in the last 1 year, security has improved by leaps and bounds for MCP, right? We are able to support OAuth. We are able to support keys. We are able to support managed identities. So over the entire gamut of things that you can imagine, you can do it with MCP servers, both on the inbound and the outbound side. So you can ensure that any MCP server that you create and you're exposing, it has server trust, and that is the prime thing. Then the other question around security is, I don't want my developers to deal with credentials. I just want everything to happen seamlessly. And we have something called Credential Manager. It's a credential management service where you register once, set up your identity provider, and everything happens for you as your application runs. You don't need to deal with credentials so that they are not susceptible for theft or jailbreaking. Lastly, registry, right? So people have a sprawl of APIs. We launched API Center to solve that use case. Now people are talking about, hey, I have thousands of MCP servers in my organization. How do I ensure I have a vetted list that my developers can discover and use them for their applications? Well, we have an MCP registry within our same API Center product, and this is going to be expanded in future to A2A registry as well. So that's the overall story. Now let's look at the high level architecture, and then we will get into the demo of how this whole thing works. So we have Azure API Management. Like I said, for MCP, there are about 3 top scenarios, right? One, you can bring any API, transform it into, import it into API Management. In a couple of clicks, transform it into an MCP server and be able to apply safety policies, logs, metrics, traffic, etc. Number 2, you can proxy any first-party MCP servers. An MCP server hosted on container apps, functions, Azure Kubernetes service, anything can be proxied by API management and apply the same policies and enterprise capabilities and make it available to agents. 3, you can bring any third-party MCP servers hosted outside of Azure, like Stripe, Box, Atlassian, Neon. These are just a few examples, right? You can again proxy them with API management, apply the same governance policy engine, get all the enterprise capabilities like observability, security, and make them available to agents. So it's like a one-stop shop to apply a single umbrella of governance, protection, and observability for all of the tools that you are exposing to agents. And that is what AI Gateway with an API management can provide you. So let's quickly take a look at the developer scenarios, and I'll jump into the demo after this slide. So developer scenarios. So step 1 is, like I said, you can build your own MCP server from APIs, or you can proxy external tools. All of this gives you a unified management experience. Number 2, you can enhance security. You can use keys. You can use Auth 2.1 or JOT. You can use Credential Manager. You can also set throttling kind of policies like rate limits, circuit breakers to enhance the security for your MCP servers. Number 3, you can have a registry for your organizations to manage the sprawl. You can have your own private registry. You can set up role-based access control and enable discovery. Lastly, you have a streamlined experience. No matter where you host your tools, either in API management or API Center, agents can discover and invoke them. And we also have AI assistants integrated into this so that you can consume these servers easily registered in API Center. So I will quickly jump to a quick demo to see how it works. So this is a simple Azure portal. As you can see here, I have created a simple service. This is a basic V2 service of API management. What you see here are, I have APIs. I have the ability to create MCP servers. So you can create all kinds of APIs in API management, right? So you can bring HTTP REST-based APIs, WebSockets, GraphQL. Sorry, I clicked on something. So, or you can create them from definitions, right? You can bring OpenAPI, OData, or whatever. You can also bring anything from Azure resources, Azure Foundry, OpenAPI, App Service, Function App, Logic App, etc. So let's go back to the screen to see how everything works, right? So I will try to create a few MCP servers from what we have right now. As you can see here, I have a Logic app. I have a support ticket API created from an OpenAPI spec. I have an MCP API created. So let's just create one from an API just so that you're familiar with what it is. I'm going to quickly upload an API. Oh, why is this not working for me? Okay. Just give me a minute. I don't know what's going on when I'm sharing my screen. For some reason, it doesn't seem to be working on that, which is funny, but all right, here you go. There was some basic thing. So I'm just going to upload a city weather OpenAPI definition. It's going to give me a weather details of what it is. So I'm just going to create city weather. It's my suffix. As you can see, my API is already created, and the API definition is as follows. I have an open API spec and I have a city details basic to get the weather details here. So let's try to convert that into an MCP server and you'll see how easy it is. And you can expose it to agents. So I have two options if you go into MCP servers tab. There is expose an API as an MCP server or expose an existing. These are the two scenarios I talked about. You can take an API and make it an MCP server, or you can take an existing MCP server and proxy it to apply all the governance. So in this scenario, we already have a city weather API that I imported through the spec. I'm going to choose get weather for the current city. My display name for this will also be a city weather MCP. And I'll not, for the sake of time, I'll just not add a description, but a description is highly recommended so that agents can actually get that information and use it to understand what's happening here. So as you can see, in a matter of a couple of clicks, I was able to convert an existing API into an MCP server. And this MCP server, on this, you can see the source is an API from the JSON, and I have an MCP server URL. This I can use with my agentic workflows, and APIM will be able to manage things. And I can set up all kinds of policies here in terms of inbound policies to throttle, authorize, validate, cache, or same thing with backend, how to manage the backend and how to manage outbound similarly. So you can do all of those things directly in a matter of a few clicks and apply the policies, and everything starts working for you seamlessly. The second scenario I talked about is also very interesting. So this is a lot of times you might want to use an external server, like you want to ping Stripe for payments. You want to ping Microsoft Learn to get some information. It is also very simple here. It's like MCP server base URL. You just put the MCP server URL here, add the name, base path, and description. Once you are done with that, you can create your own servers. It's as simple as a few clicks. So here I have created a few servers here. For example, you can see GitHub. I have the backend. This is the actual GitHub MCP server. I have created a API management wrapper around it so that we can apply all governance and security and anything around that. And I can apply policies just like what I talked about here. So I'll actually show you an example of how this whole thing works here. So here I have a Microsoft Graph MCP server. I have hosted an MCP server to extract some graph data in Azure App Service. Basically, all it does is it extracts information from Azure App Service. And in terms of graph, for example, it could be about a person. Hey, tell me who are the people, what are their employee IDs, and what are their job titles. You can extract that from this particular graph server. And now we have wrapped it up in an MCP URL with an API management. You have it available here. As part of this, I have created some configurations. As you can see here, I'm trying to initially log an incoming authorization header to make sure that I have even access to access this particular MCP server and make the call. So here I'm using my MCP auth token to actually get validated to see, and you can easily set this up to manage it. It's nothing unique here. You're just passing a auth header and you're actually doing the token with Microsoft Entra. So it's very simple. You just get validated here. Then once I'm validating that auth token here, as you can see, I have written a small policy, and if the auth fails, you get a 401 error. Let's quickly go into this thing. There is another concept called, okay, now I have validated the auth token for the Azure AD JOT token, which is my Entra ID. I have access to the server, but I still need to send a backend token to the backend server, which is on app service, to be able to actually access the information and get all the details. So in that scenario, we have a capability called Credential Manager, which is what I was talking about here. A Credential Manager is basically you can simply unbundle and abstract all the authorization for your APIs. So you can create your credential provider for any backend, and we support a lot of identity providers here. Azure, Dropbox, GitHub, Google, OAuth, anything. You can create your own identity provider, set it up with the client ID, client secret, and you are able to, you have the thing set up. And once you link it to your policy, so as you can see, I have created a few connections here. Anish demo 2. So this is what is linked in my MCP server, and that is going to extract the policy and pass it to the backend, the token, and that will run it. As you can see, this is the provider ID is Graph Contoso. Auth ID is Anish demo, like I showed, right? So this policy enables us to quickly extract the token and pass it to the backend so that you don't need to deal with credentials at all once it is set up. And here I have actually simply hard-coded it for the sake of simplicity, but you can further make it more dynamic selection too, based on the user and their details. So that can be implemented, but the dynamic selection is something that is going to come out soon, but it is not available today. But the key message here is you can secure your MCP servers with whatever methodology you choose to, be it with keys, OAuth, and also manage your backend access service with using our credential manager capabilities. I see a bunch of questions. Should we stop here and quickly look at some of the questions before we jump into the next step? So let's do that. So one of the questions was from Abhishek. How does the API conversion takes place? So the API conversion, it's basically we are changing the current API spec into an MCP format, right? So everything, all that is happening in the backend, so that we are converting it into a protocol that is compliant with MCP. And we take all the information from the API and we convert it into an MCP related entity, and that helps the agent work well with that particular endpoint. A simple API might not work as well compared to the MCP protocol. So basically just the protocol conversion is happening, let's say from REST to MCP, and you get a new endpoint with API management. So I hope that helps, because all the technical architecture details is not relevant at this stage. But the thing is, you have a REST-based API, or today we support REST and Open API standards. In future, we plan to support gRPC, GraphQL, and WebSockets, which will happen sometime in 2026. And you can convert those APIs into your MCP servers. The second, it is happening on the back end, Abhishek. It's not like something that I can show you. It's also a lot of the secret sauce here. So, but the point is, if you want something to happen of an MCP server, we can create it in a couple of clicks. That is what the product does. There's no point to opening the hood and showing how that happens. But if you have an open API spec, we are able to do that. Happy to, you can go look up our documentation and you can see more details there. So the second question is, in source, apart from API, what else is included? Uh, I'm not clear on that question. So source where? I not clear on the source question, Prasad. So let me know if you have things. So in the interest of time, let's keep going. Uh, yes, we have a SDK. Yes, okay, I see. So yeah, so there are two kinds of backends, right? As you can see, think about it. You can take an API and convert it to an MCP server, or you can proxy an external MCP server. In future, we plan to get A to A endpoints and other things as part of the source here, because you can use those things as tools as well. So the source would be any backend that you're surfacing through API management. So it could be an API, MCP server, A to A endpoint, whatever it is. Yes, you have a usage to see which functions, right? So like I said, when I'm exposing an API, here, let's say I'm just taking something simple. I have two functions here. I can just choose to expose one particular operation and not having any other operation. So you can just choose to use that. All right, so those are some of the basic questions. Let's continue to move on so that we can make good use of our time and then answer more questions. So like I said, you can expose APIs as MCP servers. REST, you can import any of these things and apply. Number two, you can expose existing MCP servers like container apps, functions, Kubernetes, or external. This is something we have already seen. You can secure, you can add policies, and we have also seen what credential manager is and how it enables access. Then we can also talk about discovery and governance. So you can build your own MCP registries with Azure API Center to better discover, govern, and share MCP servers within your organization. We have something called mcp.azure.com. Please feel free to take a look at it. It is a live example demonstrating how API Center is powering a private and enterprise ready MCP Center. I'll actually quickly go through a demo at this stage. So please, let's take a look at what a registry is all about.
Anish, I hate to jump in. Is there audio involved in this demo? I just wanted to let you know we couldn't hear anything that's happening, if there is.
Oh, looks like you guys are not able to hear what's playing on my screen. So I, Anna, I'm not sure why it's not the audio is not showing up
I
here.
I can help with this. Thanks, everybody. Hi, we are live. This is just evidence of that. So initially, want to stop sharing, and then when you share again, you'll select on. There's two options: either sharing the tab or the whole screen, and you'll select Share System Audio.
I see. Okay. All
my
right.
portal.
Perfect. That's working.
All right. Let's go from the beginning then.
Today I'm excited to show you how organizations can build and establish their own private enterprise registry for MCP servers. This is all about empowering your organization to better discover, govern, and share MCP servers internally. To keep pace with the rapidly growing MCP server ecosystem, organizations need a way to transform this chaos into a governed, secure, and easily shareable environment. Organizations can now do this by leveraging Azure API Center. Check out mcp.azure.com that provides a public showcase of what such an MCP registry can look like in practice. Looking at the website, all of this experience is powered by Azure API Center. To make discovery easier, we've included powerful search and filter functionalities. I've added several filtered categories, like MCP type, where you can select transport types like remote or local servers. You can also filter by vendor association, such as Microsoft or partners. You can even expose additional information like categories. Now, let's take a look under the hood. As I mentioned, everything is powered by Azure API Center. API Center now supports the MCP type, which means you can register MCP servers directly in your registry. We also use the concept of metadata, which allows you to define customizable fields to store with your MCP servers. For this registry, I've added 6 different metadata fields. These are all pieces of information I want to store for each server and display in my portal. For example, my GitHub MCP server has the following metadata, like visibility is set to true, category is developer tools, and vendor is Microsoft. All of this information is what you see and can consume on the mcp.azure.com page. Within the Azure portal, I can also filter based on this metadata. For instance, I can search for all public MCP server endpoints currently in my registry by using the category endpoint filter. A public endpoint means it points directly to a public URL like the Microsoft Learn Remote MCP Server URL. We are collaborating with Microsoft partners to bring their remote MCP servers into API Center. This allows organizations to quickly find trusted partners and see what remote MCP servers are available. We encourage placing a gateway between your client and the server, and this is where Azure API Management, our AI gateway, comes in. From within API Center, you can now connect to your API's gateway solution. This ensures that when you register a partner solution, it also gets deployed to your API management resource. Please note that this feature is currently being rolled out and might not yet be available in your region. That's exactly what I did with the Microsoft Learn Remote MCP Server. I put it behind an AI gateway, giving me a private endpoint. When I switched back to my API Center registry, I created a new entry for the Microsoft Learn MCP server, but this time it points to my API management endpoint instead. So how do we get from the Azure portal to the developer portal you saw in the browser before? Every API Center comes with a built-in API Center portal that's powered by a data plane API. However, I wanted to change the layout and customize it to have the look and feel of my MCP Center. With the help of GitHub Copilot, I was able to build this custom that connects to the API Center data on the backend. let's take a close look at some of the configurations. On the setting page, you can configure visibility. First, I enabled anonymous access by disabling authentication on the data plane API. This allows anyone to consume my developer portal view, and that's how I build my public showcase. In addition to that, I set a visibility configuration to only allow MCP servers with the data tag visibility set to true to appear in the portal. I also configured which metadata should be consumable through my data plane API. Since we have the visibility configuration, let's make sure our latest added MCP Learn MCP Server shows up in the portal. I will navigate to my new MS Learn MCP Server and I will change its visibility to true. Once I save this and refresh my portal view, I can now see the new filter category, AI Gateway. The MS Learn Remote MCP Server also now appears. And if you look at the endpoint, you will see it now points to my API Management Gateway. For ease of consumption, I can now click the Install in VS Code button. Once I'm in VS Code, I can start my MCP server. This opens my VS Code output window and shows me if my remote MCP server is running and how many tools it has. I'm now ready to use this MCP server with GitHub Copilot in agent mode. For this demo, I'm going to select only the MS Learn server. With that done, I'll now ask Copilot a sample question, like, can I use API Center as an MCP registry? Copilot will now run the MS Learn MCP server based on my question. It looks like Copilot has detected that it needs to run it twice, prompting me to click continue each time. And perfect, I now have the answer to my question. Again, notice that instead of pointing directly to the public endpoint, we use our own MCP endpoint, which is securely placed behind an API management service. In API management, you can configure policies to better control traffic or for security reasons. Another key reasons we put it behind an API management instance is for better observability. And for this demo, I enabled application insights. Within App Insights, I've created my own workbook to monitor specific MCP metrics for the MCP Learn server. For example, I can now see how often my MCP server call failed or succeeded. And I can even get a regional analysis to see where my requests are coming from. This is just a glimpse of how you can manage, secure, and monitor your remote MCP servers at an enterprise level. I encourage you all to check out mcp.azure.com to learn more about our solutions. Thank you so much for watching.
Awesome. Yeah. So that was a quick demo of how everything works, from discovery, enabling it in API Center, an MCP server, bringing it into API management, putting it behind AI Gateway, applying policies, and seeing the whole end-to-end journey there. So hope that gave you a good understanding of how powerful this capability can be once you start using it within your workflows. So let's move to the next slide.
Today, I'm excited to show you.
All right. Yeah. So like I said, we are in preview on all of these features. We launched the preview in May 2025. We started with the ability to expose APIs as MCP servers. We started with offering Auth 2.1 support, Credential Manager, and MCP Registry. In July, we improved that capability by allowing you to proxy external MCP servers, the so-called pass-through mode, and we extended support in all of our SKUs. In August, we continued to harden the process for the entire product for production, based on a lot of customer feedback related to auth improvements, the pass-through mode improvements, and we also, customers wanted availability of this particular capability in developer SKUs, self-hosted gateway, and we have worked on that. In October and November, these are some of the features which are not yet available. We are working to enable assignment of MCP servers to API management products, basically your ability to create clusters of servers with specific set of rules, so-called products. We are also working on enabling versioning for MCP servers. This is also going to come out soon, where you can version the MCP server that you are creating in API management to be able to test and to be able to run it in production or for A/B testing. Similarly, you can also version your backends and also front end. So there's going to be a lot of complicated workflows that could be orchestrated with versioning. And then you have observability. We have basic observability for MCP servers, but we are working on launching more detailed observability capabilities all the way through an MCP request journey, from the time it evolves from an agent to the time a server gets invoked, to the time what tools are being invoked, what is the response. Everything is getting logged, and you will be able to start using that for your own analysis and our root cause analysis and debugging. So all of this will be announced as a general availability around Ignite timeframe. Microsoft Ignite is our conference coming up in mid-November. That's when we are planning to do. And while you have seen all of these capabilities as part of a standalone product in Azure API Management, we are also going to have native integration of this particular gateway capabilities within Azure AI Foundry. So let's say you are trying to create your own agent in Azure AI Foundry and create your own workflow from there. You can easily use AI Gateway within AI Foundry and start applying all the governance policies that you want to do to achieve your own goals. So this is our high-level story of how we are going about with tools for MCP. The next step is obviously MCP is not just about tools. It's also about prompts and resources. We are actively in development of prompts and resources support for MCP capabilities within API management. We want to be able to support resources, be it vector databases, vector stores, documents, or any other kinds of resources that you want to use along with your APIs and tools. That will also come out sometime in the first half of 2026, along with grounding prompts. When a LLM or an agent calls a particular tool, by providing a set of grounding prompts, it gives a lot of context to that particular agent to understand what this tool is all about and how to interact with this particular tool. So we are working on providing that set of grounding prompts, and that will lead to more complex features like elicitations and sampling going on in later half of 2026. So that's our high-level story for MCP. Again, this is a logical break. I'll quickly stop here before I talk about some of the things we are doing with agents. There were some questions around developer portal that was already covered in the demo. Yes, there is like a developer portal that is supported. You can easily create your portal from API Center. That will work. There was some feedback about, hey, it's not just about selecting functions. So you want to use the discovery function to reduce. So yes, so today our capability is only around selecting the types of operations. But yes, there is definitely opportunity to overall improve that discovery there. So good feedback. Thank you for sharing that. I see those were the only questions. So let's quickly move on to the next part. So this is something like I mentioned, right? So Azure AI Foundry is our frontier product. That is where all the developers go to build AI and agentic workflows. We are working to enable AI Gateway to AI Foundry, and this is going to come out soon. So basically, anytime you are talking to a model, tool, or an agentic deployment, you can use AI Gateway by linking it on the Foundry resource. And once enabled, all those endpoints are changed to AI Gateway with their own keys, and everything will be governed in the same way. Okay, so let's quickly go. So again, these are some things that I can't really share much until Ignite. That's when we'll have our big announcement. But just to give a sneak peek of what's coming up, we are actively working on agent-to-agent support. That means two things. Number one, you can create your agent-to-agent registries within API management in API Center. You can also have API management AI gateway to do mediation, security, and observability for your A2A APIs alongside other APIs. So you'll be able to do that soon. It is going to be announced at Ignite, so it's coming soon. So please look forward to all the cool demos, and the product will be available for preview. You'll be able to test it out. All of these things are coming out shortly, so please take a look at that. Then, like I said, governance, right? Where if you have a third-party agent, like from GCP or AWS or something built on your own virtual machine, you can still govern those in AI Gateway. So you can register those things in AI Gateway and start governing them by applying the kinds of policies, like maybe shaping the traffic, routing the traffic, enabling, disabling, applying guardrails, responsible AI. Whatever you want to do, you will be able to do a lot of those things as well as part of the AI Foundry's control plane. So that is also something that is going to be coming up soon at Ignite. So yeah, so from an agent's perspective, we are just scratching the surface. We are going to be announcing a bunch of features soon. From there, it's going to start expanding on the agentic workflow as well. So that's the overall story of how API management and AI Gateway can support your models, tools, and agents. Let me see. There are a few questions there. How does the existing developer portal overlap with API Center? Yes, that's a good question. So developer portal is primarily something that you use for external customers, and where you can set up auth and everything. API Center also has some similar capabilities. Now we are actually trying to see how to bring those two things together and make it work for customers. But for now, both of them will continue to exist side by side. There was a question of how do we create our own AI Foundry. So Azure AI Foundry, you can just go to Azure AI Foundry. It's just Google it, Azure AI Foundry. The first link you see is Azure AI Foundry. Just click on it, register, use your credentials to register, and start creating agents. So you can create an agent, you can link tools, models, and agents to that particular agent and create your own complex workflows there. How do we create our own AI gateway? Like I said, so it looks like Abhishek, you might not be too familiar with API management and AI gateway. So that's what. Just to show you guys, Azure AI Foundry. Hold on, I want to show it from basic things. So AI Foundry Azure, right? So it's like ai.azure.com is the Azure AI Foundry. Can you guys see my screen, by the way? Oh, looks like you're not. So hold on. Let me share my screen so that you can see. So as you can see, ai.azure.com is the Azure AI Foundry page. You can go to agents, build your own agent, and add tools and other things. And you can do a lot of things here. You have access to multiple models, everything. That is Azure AI Foundry. The other question was, how do I create my own AI gateway? So you can go to portal.azure.com, create your own API management service resource, and choose a API management service tier that works for you. That should create this kind of a scenario that becomes your AI gateway. And here you can, like I said, you can add an API, quickly convert it to an MCP server, add it to products to apply rules, add policy fragments and policies, add credential manager for access. Then you have the API Center, which we looked at in the demo, that you can use. And we have portal. So there's a lot of capabilities that you can use for everything. So hopefully that answers some of the questions. Yeah, so please feel free to go take a look at it. I would highly encourage all of you to start playing around with API management, AI gateway, and use it to create MCP servers and use it to manage MCP servers in terms of governance, and give us more feedback. The main thing is we also have created certain labs for you guys to take a look at it. So let me show you this. I think this would be super valuable. And Anna, if you don't mind, I would request you to also share this. The first part is you can understand what API management is all about. And then we have a specific lab for AI Gateway. Here you can see all about how AI Gateway works with various scenarios. It will give you all the templates to be able to build your own labs. So you have an AI Gateway to do all the mediation. You can do MCP client authorization, how to set up MCP, how to work with open agents, how to work with AI agent service. So there's a lot of things that you can work. So this is another lab that I think we should definitely share, Anna. So github.com/Azure samples/AI gateway. So please feel free to do that. So, but you can easily access that from the link that Anna shared here for AI Gateway. So please go try it out, and would love to get more feedback. We are super excited to bringing more capabilities around Ignite time, which happens in a couple of weeks. So look forward to sharing more then.
Thank you all for joining, and thanks again to our speakers. This session is a part of a series. To register for future shows and watch past episodes on demand, you can follow the link on the screen or in the chat. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find that link on the screen or in the chat. And we'll see you at the next one.